Okay, this class is a memory of Jared Orchen, as we say every week. And today we're starting a new Chumash, the book of Numbers, the book of Bamidbar. We will start not from the beginning of the Parshah, but we will start from the story of the Levites. And we will concentrate on their counting. Page 8. No, page 8, number 48. You want to start?
Adonai spoke to Moshe, saying, However, the tribe of Levi you shall not count, and you shall not take their head count among Bnei Israel.
You shouldn't count the Levites together with the Jewish people. 12 tribes were counted in big numbers, and was a whole counting. That was Bamidbar, that's why it's called the book of Numbers. The Levites should not be counted. Rashi says, why not? Rashi number in the bottom of this page 49, he says, however, the tribe of the Levites you should not count. He says, why not? Go ahead.
The king's legion is worthy of being counted separately.
That's one explanation. The Levites are the king's legion. Why they're the king's legion? Because the original plan was the firstborn should serve in the temple. The original plan was that every family, the firstborn, should join the army. Can you imagine how patriotic the country would be if in every family the first son, the oldest child, is going to the army? That was the original idea, that in the temple, the firstborn should serve in the temple. And then what happened? The golden calf. All the Jews, representative of every tribe of the Jewish people, were involved in the golden calf, one way or another. That God said anybody who worships idols cannot be a part of serving me. The only tribe who did not serve the golden calf, who not worship the golden calf, was the tribe of the Levites. The Kohen were a part of the Levites. Therefore, he says, they became the legion of God, of the king. They became the army of Hashem. That God said, we don't count them together with everybody. That's number one. Another interpretation, Rashi says.
Another interpretation, the Holy One, blessed is He, foresaw that a decree would arise against all those who were counted from the age of 20 and above to die in the desert. He therefore said, let these Levites not be included.
That's a very, why? For they are mine,
since they did not sin with the golden calf.
This is between the golden calf and the story of the spies. In the story of the spies, the Jews complained and became the decree that every male, the age of 20 to 60, should die in the desert. The Levites were not a part of it. How God made sure the Levites shouldn't be a part of it? By counting things separately. He, so to speak, separated them from the rest of the Jewish people, gave them the strength not to make these mistakes. Then basically he rewarded them for not making one mistake. He helped them not to make the second mistake. That's the concept of mitzvah goreret mitzvah. One mitzvah brings to another. What's the reward for a mitzvah? God giving you an opportunity to do another mitzvah. What's the punishment for the sin? Dragging you to another one. It's all about dragging. How sometimes people argue that the act that you did was a good act or not. Was it a good thing, a good deed or not? How you know? So, many things are clear. This is good, this is bad. When there is clear, it's clear. But many times it's not so clear. You look at the outcome, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe used to say. If the outcome comes out, if this leads to another good thing, obviously number one was a good thing. If it leads to a bad thing, obviously what was, because mitzvah, one mitzvah brings to another. Then because they didn't sin in the golden calf, God separated them, count them separately, and he, so to speak, gave them the strength they should not make the second mistake. Then this is the reason why the Levites were counted separately.
What's the second mistake?
The spies, not to make the mistake when the spies came back from Israel, they did not say we don't want to go to the land of Israel. That's what he says. Okay, page 9, number 50. Go ahead, please.
You shall appoint the Levites to oversee the Mishkan of testimony, and over all of its utensils, and over all that belongs to it. They shall carry the Mishkan and all its utensils, and they shall administer it, and they shall camp around the Mishkan.
Okay, they were the custodians of the Mishkan. They carried the Mishkan. The Kohanes were the one to serve inside the temple. The Levites were the one to carry dismantle the Mishkan when they travel, to put it together, to carry it. And as later we'll see, every family had their jobs. What is their job to do exactly? And they were the people who had to carry the ark. And carrying the ark was a very big responsibility. And the Levites used to run away from the job.
Remember what happened to Uzzah?
Uzzah was. I don't think Uzzah was a Levite. Uzzah was a friend of Levi? I don't think so.
The ark was falling over, and he props it up, and
he came to hold it to save the. Uzzah was a story about King David. He brought the Ark of the Covenant back to Jerusalem. It was stolen by the Philistines. It's all confiscated. He brought it back, and he brought it he carried it on a wagon with donkeys were pulling the wagon.
An ox cart?
Yeah, an ox cart. And that was not allowed. People should carry the ark. It was an insult for the ark that's carried by animals. And then it almost fell, looked like it almost fell, and Uzzah came to save it. And Uzzah died on the spot. He touched the ark and he died on the spot. And King David was very upset about it. But you're right. Therefore, the Levites, it's written in the Midrashim that the Levites were not excited about carrying the ark. Because if you are not right in the right place, in the right frame of mind, you got to be in trouble. But that's the job. And they were also camping around the sanctuary. The sanctuary was in the middle of the camp, and the whole nation was around the sanctuary. If to accept, that was the best idea, that the center is God, and we are around the center. Who is the center of the universe? I'm the center of the universe, or God is the center of the universe? That's a question that every one of us has to ask himself. You say, I went on vacation. I didn't realize that's Sukkot. I didn't realize that's Pesach. You take out the Jewish calendar, and you know when Pesach is, and when Rosh Hashanah is, and you plan your life around God. You don't make God around your plans. Then I have a vacation. It's Rosh Hashanah. I will eat a few latkes, ich weiß was. It doesn't work like this. And that started in the desert. The center was the ark, the temple. The Levites were around the temple to make sure nobody enters the temple or touch the wrong thing. They were like the protection of the temple. They were the police, the guards around the temple. And then the rest of the Jewish people around it, as you're going to see. Okay. Number 51.
When the Mishkan is to be moved, the Levites shall take it down. And when the Mishkan is to rest in one place, the Levites shall erect it. And the stranger who approaches shall die.
Exactly. Therefore, die by God. It's not, nobody is going to kill him. By the end of fairness, Rashi says. But you want to protect, their job was to protect the Jewish people. And so to speak, if a stranger will touch something, it will be their fault. Because God appointed them to make sure it doesn't happen. Okay, number 52.
Bnei Israel shall camp, each man at his own camp, and each man at his own banner, according to their divisions.
Okay, every tribe had a banner, had a flag. There was no flag for everybody together, like the flag of Israel, but there was a flag for every tribe. And what was the color of the flag? What do you think? Soon we'll see. Continue.
The Levites shall camp around the Mishkan of the testimony, so that there will not be anger upon the congregation of Bnei Israel, and the Levites shall be careful to preserve the Mishkan of testimony. Bnei Israel did according to all that Hashem commanded Moshe. They did it exactly.
Beautifully. They did it exactly. Isn't this a refreshing idea? Continue, Corey.
Hashem spoke to Moshe and Aaron, saying, each man at his own banner, with the insignia of their fathers' houses, shall Bnei Israel encamp. At a distance around the tent of meeting, they shall encamp.
Okay, let's read this Rashi. Very interesting Rashi. Back to page 11.
Okay.
Number 2, with the insides, with the
Number 2, insignia. Each banner shall have as its insignia a colored cloth hanging from it, Each one's color was not like the others. Each color corresponded with the hue of its gem set in the breastplate.
Aha! On the breastplate, there were the 12 stones. And every stone was the name of one of the tribes. The stones were different. Then the color of the stone was the color of the banner. And they know more or less what the color is. The Medrash brings it all.
So each tribe had its own color, in other words.
Yes, absolutely. Each tribe has its own color. Exactly.
So we know where they got color wars at all the Jewish camps. Then.
You're right. Now he says another thing. Then a person, how he knows where he belongs, he knows the color of his banner, the color of his stone, his stone, he goes, I belong there. Color, simple, everybody understands colors. Another interpretation,
Of the insignia of their fathers' houses, by the sign of their forefather Yaakov, they gave them when they carried him from Egypt for burial in Canaan, as it is said, and the sons did to him just as he had commanded them. Yehuda, Yischar, Zebulun shall carry him from the east, Reuben, Shimon, and Gad from the south.
Okay, let's explain what happened there. Jacob, before he died, he gave an order. Only his sons should carry his coffin. Nobody else should touch it. And he said exactly who should carry where. Reuven and Yehuda, Issachar, and Zvulun will be on the east side of the coffin. And they gave exact orders. Because when God told Moses, they should all encamp around the sanctuary. Moses says, there will be no end to this story. I'll tell him, you're here. I'll say, I want here, I want here, I want here. Go walk with Jewish people. Nothing will be good enough for them. Hashem told them, don't worry. They know already. How they know? They know they have a tradition. When their forefathers carried, the 12 sons carried the ark, the Jacob's coffin, he told them exactly who belongs where. Then every tribe, when you tell them, they will know that you're right. Because they know from tradition that their forefathers were there.
Was this based on where their land was later assigned?
Maybe, but I cannot tell you for sure. I don't know. I'm not good in geography to say that that's exactly how it's set up. But maybe Yehuda was it Benjamin? I'm not so sure. I don't know. No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think
the
so.
tribes that were on the other side
Yeah.
of the Jordan.
There were
That
Reuven and
was
Gad.
spontaneous.
No, but it was
With
Reuven.
half of Menashe.
And by the way, obviously it was not so spontaneous because Reuven and Gad are here together also.
Okay.
Maybe it is a connection. Maybe you're right.
All right.
Could be there is a connection. Could be. There's no spontaneous when it comes to these things. it's all connected, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then he goes on with the numbers to say where they're going to sit everyone on his own tribe. We'll skip these numbers. And
I just have a question about the numbers.
yes.
About all the tribes add up to like 600,000,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
603,550.
Yes,
something
yes,
very
yes,
close to 600,000.
Yes, yes,
But usually the number is 600,000 when in
Yes.
general, the
Yes.
souls, everything.
yes.
So the extra 3,550.
They were running around without souls.
It's just a generality.
They were just running around and going, what are you doing here? You should better be somewhere else. Page 18.
So
Go ahead, I'm
I've got a
sorry.
question about numbers too.
Please.
The Parsha and the book of the Torah is called Bamidbar
Mhm.
in the desert, but
Mhm.
yet in English it's numbers, and
You're
numbers are emphasized throughout the Parsha.
Because Numbers is only the first Parsha. Bamidbar is the old book.
The Bamidbar makes a lot more sense as
Yes,
a
in the
title for
desert,
the book.
yeah, yeah.
Because the whole it's all happened in the really that's the story of the desert.
Yes.
Exodus is the story of the Exodus. This is the story of the desert. Then it makes sense to give it the name Bamidbar in the
Yes.
desert.
Yes.
All the other English names make some sense.
Yes.
This is the only one that really doesn't
Yeah,
make
this
a great
is the
deal
one
of
that's
sense.
really discordant.
What's Deuteronomy means?
Second statement.
Like
Deutero meaning
repetition.
second.
Like repetition.
Like
That's actually-
Mishnah, like repetition.
Like Mishnah Torah. The
Yeah.
name of the
Yeah.
volume is also Mishnah Torah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're right. All the other book, Genesis. What's Genesis?
In the
Beginning.
beginning.
Genesis means beginning. Okay, see, I learned something today. You're right. All of them. Leviticus, even it's also called the book of sacrifices in Hebrew. Deuteronomy and Leviticus has really a similar name to it in Hebrew too, you understand?
But usually the first book, like the first Parsha, is the same name.
I understand,
Like
but still, you're right.
Bereshit, Genesis.
You're right, but it says usually it says a meaning for the whole
Right.
book.
So
It's not
obviously, at some point, somebody felt that numbers needed to be emphasized, and the numbers are all over the first parsha.
the first Parsha, yeah.
Yes.
But actually, Shmot or Exodus makes more sense than Shmot. Shmot means names.
Yes, Shmos, that's true.
Yeah.
Exodus is more brings out the theme of the whole book. Okay, we are in page 18, chapter 3, number 1. Go ahead, please.
Midbar, is that still the name for a desert?
Yeah, in Hebrew today, Midbar. Yes. Yes.
These are the descendants of Aaron and Moshe on the day Adonai spoke to Moshe on Mount Sinai. These are the names of Aaron's sons, the firstborn Nadav and Avihu, Eleazar and Isamar.
Let's stop right here. These are the descendants of Moses, of Aaron, and Moses. And which descendants is mentioning?
Aaron.
Aaron.
We're
Where's
Moses'
Moses?
sons.
What's going on? Why we call Aaron's son the descendants of Moses? That's a real question.
Because Moses spent a lot of time with them.
Oh, let's see what Rashi says. These are the descendants of Aaron and Moshe.
Scripture mentions only the sons of Aaron, and they are called the descendants of Moshe because he taught them Torah. This teaches us that one who teaches another son Torah is considered as having procreated him.
Oh, this is a very, very, very powerful statement here. Why the sons of Aaron are named after the descendants of Moses? Because Moses taught them Torah. And the Talmud says that everyone who teaches the son of another person Torah is considered like he gave him birth. Not only he gave him birth, to a point he is greater than the parents, because the parents, the Talmud says, gave him only the physical world. The physical world is a temporary thing, 70, 80, 90, 120, yeah.
Yeah, this theme is repeated in other places too
Yes.
about the teachers and the students.
You're right, it's repeated a few times in
Is
the
it
Torah.
B'nai or is it Zerah, though?
The same thing, I mean, it's
Oh,
written B'nai.
Okay, yeah, because B'nai can mean metaphorically students,
Obviously, Zerah means
where
children.
Zerah would mean biological
Biological children. That's a good point. But the idea is that the Talmud wants to point out that the children, that a person, now, by Jewish law, you are obligated more if you have a real teacher. The teacher brought you to the world to come. The teacher gave you eternity. The father gave you physical life, temporary things. The teacher gave you something forever. I do a mitzvah, the mitzvah is forever. I learn Torah, I connect to something, to God. God is eternity, forever.
So the
Yeah.
Rebbe has many children even though he had no biological children.
Exactly. Even he had no biological children, he has millions, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of spiritual children. Now, this is by if you're teaching anybody Torah. Then really by Jewish law, if your father was not your teacher, and your teacher is your main teacher who put you on your feet, you are obligated to honor your teacher more than you are obligated to before your father. Because he gave you something forever. That's how big it is. Now it goes even further. This is if you teach anybody Torah. Then the Talmud quotes a verse from Jeremiah that says, Im totzi yakar mizolel kefi tiyeh. Jeremiah complains about how he's going to cure himself, how he's going to solve the situation. God tells him, you know how you're going to solve your situation? If you will take out yakar, precious, from zolel comes from the word zol. Zol means like cheap. You take out the precious from the cheap. A diamond from the dirt. Then you'll be kefi, like my mouth you will be. What does this mean? If a person comes and takes out a Jewish child who is lost, what means dirt? Dirt doesn't have to mean bad. Dirt means that he's not in the Jewish environment, in his right place. Doesn't get a Jewish education. You take him out, and you take out this diamond. The Jewish kids are compared misuloi mipos in the book of Eicho. Eicho is the book of Lamentation. The Jewish kids who are suffering in Jerusalem are called, who are precious more than gold. Paz is not just gold, it's the more purified gold. That's what Paz is. And when the Rebbe used to speak about Jewish children, that they don't get a Jewish education, he used to say, with scream, "Amesuloim pos who are more precious than gold," and we don't pay attention to that. Then if I save a Jewish child, and I teach him Torah, God says, "Kefiti, you will be like my mouth." The human being has the power of God. That's how big it goes. And it means to say, if God makes a decree, the tzaddik can override it. That's what a tzaddik is. That's why we go to the Rebbe to pray. Because the tzaddik, because he saved so many Jewish people, so many Jewish children, he gets the power. God tells him, now you join my club. I'll listen to you. The power of a tzaddik is that if God makes a decree, and the tzaddik prays to him, the tzaddik can override God's decision. God gives them the power to override his decision.
It's not access, it's actually, it can trump God's...
What means can trump?
Overrule.
Yeah, kind of overrule.
God gives, God puts himself in this position and you can overrule God, yes. That's why we're going to a tzaddik to pray. And God says, when he comes, I listen to him. He's like my mouth, because he saves the precious from the cheap.
Because the metaphor that I've heard is kind of like, when you have the president and he's surrounded by his cabinet and he has people who will go in the door and convey the message to the president. I'd always heard that as kind of the metaphor for a tzaddik. But you said it's kind of beyond that.
That's beyond it. There is a few types of things. There is a president somebody can give, but there is a famous story about Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. I think it was these two names. That Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's child was sick, and he sent for a prayer to another rabbi, Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa, I think it was.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa prayed for him, and he cured. That Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's wife looked at him and told him, "I'm missing something. You're just pretending you're a tzaddik. What's going on here? You are the great rabbi, you are the teacher of the Jewish people, and he's just a tzaddik who prays." That he said, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai put it like this: I'm like a minister by the king, he's like a servant. A minister has appointments, he cannot come whenever he wants. A servant is always there. The clinic person is always there, he can speak to the king whenever he wants. It means to say he has more open door. Now when there is a tzaddik who has both things, the teaching of the Torah, and saving Jewish kids, and praying, and all of this together, he has the right combination. But you're right, it's more than that. It's more than just somebody who has connections. It's somebody that has a connections on such a level, is an extension. What a tzaddik is somebody who doesn't exist. His personality, his ego doesn't exist. He wakes up every morning and asks himself, what God wants for me. For a great scholar like a Rebbe, he can learn Torah to himself and enjoy the highest level of intellectual learning, or he can go out and give dollars to little children, give coins to little children to teach him how to give charity. He can send his secretaries. He would have many volunteers who will be ready to do for him the job. He himself did it because he felt that this is the important things to do. That he overcame his desires for God's desires. And that's what he did every minute of his life.
I remember when hearing about him that one person asked him a question, he said, "I never get tired of counting diamonds."
You're right. He said, "I never can against diamonds." He looked at every Jew as a diamond. But this is right here. The sons of Aaron are really the sons of Moshe. Who taught him Torah? Moses. Moshe is the father. It's a very, very important lesson to learn.
Quick question is what we're just talking about. So if you can pray directly to God, but if you pray, the Rebbe kind of takes your prayer, walks into God's throne room and says, I got to...
when you have connections, that's a whole different story.
So
you can pray.
So it adds weight to your prayer, basically?
What?
It adds weight to your prayer?
Much more than just weight. I mean, a lot of weight.
Okay,
Absolutely. You can pray for yourself by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
But then God judges his answer according to my need, according to my level. But when somebody like the Rebbe comes and says, "Can you do something for him?" It's a whole different story.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about. Yes, absolutely.
So he's like the large contributors in the political world,
And as we said before, I mentioned it before we started the class, It's written in the Torah. It's an amazing observation. It's written in the Torah. There is a story about Abraham. Abraham went with Sarah, and he came to a place, and the king took his wife, right? Avimelech, the second time. The first time was in Egypt. The second time was in Gerar. Where was the second time?
So,
Yeah. Then Avimelech, that night, he couldn't touch Sarah because he was shut down. His whole system was off. And Hashem came to him in his dream, and he told Hashem, what do you want to me? Hashem told him, why are you touching a married woman? He says, I didn't know. What he told him, now what you should do, return the woman to her husband, and he will pray for you because he's a righteous man, and you will be answered. That Hashem tells Avimelech that the tzaddik should pray for him. That we see that the idea of the tzaddik praying for somebody is directed by God himself, not by human beings. God himself says we should go, Avimelech, you want to be cute? Go to this man, let him pray for you. Why need God is talking to him, God can tell him whatever he wants. You need that tzaddik to pray. Then we see an amazing fundamental concept. Besides, we see it in the Talmud and in the prophet. I mean, the prophet made miracles, right? Elisha made constantly. Everyone. I mean, they went. The woman who came to Elisha, she didn't have money. They wanted to take all the Haftarahs, all the days. It's full in the Tanakh about it. But it is where Hashem directs a human being to go to the tzaddik. Okay, we'll go back to the story. Page 18, number 3.
These are the names of Aaron's sons, the anointed Kohanim, whose hands are occupied with bringing offerings to serve Hashem. Nadav and Avihu died in the presence of Hashem when they offered a strange fire offering before Hashem in the Sinai desert, and they had no sons. However, Eleazar and Isamar served in the presence of their father Aaron.
Part of Nadav and Avihu, why they died, is because they were not married. They were not grounded. Being married, a human being, a man without a wife, is like a half a person in Judaism. It's not done. It's not baked. He's half a human being. He's considered homeless. Beito zu ishto. The house, the home is his wife. The person who has a home is nothing. The home means his wife. The Kohen Gadol, the high priest, couldn't enter the Holy of Holies if he wasn't married. That shows us how much in Judaism the idea of being married is important. You know, we're in other religions, it looks like something that a clergy should not be married. In Judaism, it's just the opposite. If the Kohen Gadol, his wife died 5 minutes before Yom Kippur, the second in command, the deputy Kohen Gadol will go instead, because the Kohen Gadol must be married.
how do you reconcile that with the Rebbe who never married? Or never had children, pardon me. He did marry.
Story.
Oh, sorry, different issue.
A different story altogether. You have to be married.
Okay.
If children is the hand of God, if you have children or not. But the Rebbe was married for 60 years.
Yeah. She died in what, 88?
She was 87, I think.
No, 1988?
Oh, 1988, yeah. I was there when she passed away, and then my oldest daughter, Mushki, Chaya Mushka, is the Rebbe's wife's name, the Rebbe's name.
And she was the daughter
Of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, who was buried next to him. Yes, absolutely. Okay, page 19, number 5.
Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, Bring the tribe of Levi near, and have it stand before Aharon the Kohen, and they shall serve him. They shall take care to preserve his guardianship and the guardianship of the entire congregation before the tent of meeting, to serve in the service of the Mishkan. They shall guard all the utensils of the tent of meeting and watch of Bnei Yisrael to serve in the service of the Mishkan. You shall place the Levites in the charge of Aharon and his sons. They are presented to him from among Bnei Yisrael.
Oh, what does this mean? It says you should you should give the Levites into the charge of Aaron and his 2 sons. They are presented to him from the Jewish people. Let's see what Rashi says, number 8. You want to read it?
And to watch of Bnei Israel, they were all actually obligated to provide the needs of the sanctuary. The Levites merely served in their place as surrogates.
Then basically the Jewish people have to serve in the temple. Because they can't, that the Levites represented them. They are the shluchim. They are the emissaries. They are representing them. And what?
Okay,
That's basically the idea. Therefore, you continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
that's right. This is why the Levites, accepted the tithes from them in payment, as it is said. For the tithe is your payment in return for your service.
Therefore, we have to give truma to the Kohen, right? And tithe to the Levi throughout the time of the temple. Why? Because the Levi is doing our job. If they're doing our job, we have to support them. We have to pay them for it. Simple. Okay, we're on page 21, number 10.
You shall appoint Aaron and his sons, and they shall guard their priesthood. And an outsider, a non-Kohen, who comes nearer, shall be put to death. Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, Behold, I have taken the Levites from among Bnei Israel. Oops.
Yeah.
Instead of all the firstborn who have opened the womb among Bnei Israel, and therefore the Levites shall be mine.
Oh, here starts the story. Now Hashem explains why suddenly the Levites. He says, I took him from the people of Israel instead of the firstborn sons. And he explains in number 13, For
all the firstborn are mine. Since on the day I smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I sanctified to me all the firstborn of Bnei Israel, from man to beast. They shall be mine, I am Adonai.
the firstborn became God's firstborn because when he smite the firstborn in Egypt, and the Jewish people, the Israelite firstborn will not eat, then the Satan was basically asking what's the difference, why they should be punished and they not. They are idol worshippers and they are idol worshippers. Then God, despite it, saved them. They have to pay for it. They became gods. God saved them. They became gods. Then therefore, and the Levites are instead of the firstborn. And Rashi, back on page 21, explains it. Behold,
Behold, I have taken the Levites. What is my right to them? From among Bnei Israel, that the Israelites must hire them to serve me? Through the Israelites' firstborn I gain my right to them, having taken them, the Levites, in their place. Because the sacred service was originally performed by the firstborn, but when they sinned with the golden calf, they were disqualified.
when they actually did the firstborn, when did the firstborn did a sacred service?
When did they first do sacred service?
I mean, it says they once did, so to speak.
Yeah,
When?
I saw that.
Yeah, when they did.
Was that just simply an ancient tradition of all cultures of the firstborn?
No. They actually did it somewhere. That's what he's talking
Shemos.
about.
Yeah. Shemos
Look,
19:22.
Start 19, go ahead, continue, read it. They were obligated. In Shemos 19, you read in the end.
They
of-
were obligated to serve me because I redeemed them while punishing the Egyptian firstborn.
Yeah, but what's written in Shemot 19? It's written there. Then, when Na'arei Bnei Israel, he told to the youngs of Israel to go and they offered sacrifices right before Mount Sinai. That the firstborn were the one to offer the sacrifices. That they had one opportunity to do it. And then was right the golden calf, 40 days later. That was the end of it. And until today, the firstborn are paying for it.
Yeah, that's the Pidyon Haben.
That's what Pidyon Haben is all about, exactly. And therefore, there is also Pidyon. It says from man to beast.
What is the picture?
Animals also.
Yeah, they always
It's
put
called
it in-
Pidyon Peter Chamor. You see it in the book of Exodus, by the end of Parshat Bo. It says, "V'chol Peter Chamor tivdeh beseh." Every donkey, firstborn donkey, you should redeem him by aseh. Aseh is like a sheep. You have to exchange and give the sheep to the Kohen. And a chamor, a donkey, is not a kosher animal. Still, you have to you redeem the firstborn of the donkey. Even the non-kosher animals. Only the donkey. Why the donkey? What's so special about the donkeys? Why does the donkey get a special treatment in Judaism?
Because Moshiach will ride on the donkey. And
Moshiach was riding on a donkey,
Abraham
and
and
Abraham was riding on a donkey,
Moses-
and Moses was
Moses
riding
and-
on a donkey.
We got other people riding on donkeys.
And
too.
who else? Balak was riding on a donkey.
Bilam,
Bilam was riding on a
Sorry.
donkey. Why they didn't ride on something on the Cadillac? Why they were riding on a donkey? Why not on a horse and camel? No? Something more respectful.
Two things. A donkey's a lot more humble than a horse, and a donkey's a lot slower than a horse, too.
The idea is that he's humble, exactly. But where else came the donkeys to good use? When they left Egypt, the Jewish people carried all the wealth they took from Egypt on the donkeys. That God rewarded the donkeys. That's what Rashi says. God rewarded the donkeys to give them a special mitzvah, even if they are not kosher animals. Now in Hebrew, chamor comes from the word chumriyut, physical, materialism. If we want to bring Moshiach, we have to ride on the donkey. We have to use the materialism, but not let materialism control us. That's the chumriyus. If you want to bring, what's the greatness of Abraham? That he was riding on the donkey. He was a millionaire, Abraham. But that money didn't drive him crazy. Moses was riding on the donkey, and Moshiach will ride on the donkey. That you need the physical world. You cannot divorce yourself. You cannot sit in a cave and be holy. You need the material world. You need materialism, but you have to make sure you ride on it.
Just out of curiosity, I mean, donkeys must have been very common back in those days.
You're right.
Camels were expensive if they, were there at all.
They smelled bad.
Or you didn't-
couldn't climb up on them.
Yeah, you didn't have horses because that was for the
Why
wealthy.
not? It was
Horse.
also horses was so
Kings had
expensive.
horses.
You're right.
So everybody back in those days, if you had any kind of transportation, would pretty
But
much have to be a
Abraham
donkey,
could
right?
afford more than a donkey. Abraham was a rich man. He could afford and go to Hashem to.
And
I was
Moses
just
probably
talking
could have too, right?
And Moses, and also he was, like you said, was slower. Moshe was not in a rush. He wasn't so excited about going because he had hesitations. And he wanted God to send Moshiach to take him out from Egypt.
What's more significant in terms of the Mashiach? Is it the humble nature or the slowness? Because there's one account in the Talmud where if the Jewish people are worthy, the Messiah will come fast on a cloud, from another passage in Daniel. And if they're not worthy, he'll come really slowly.
You're right. There is two ways how Moshiach can come. Moshiach can come in a physical way or in a miraculous way. That's what it is. In a physical way is Oni v'rechev al hachamoyer, a poor man riding on a donkey. If the Jewish people will deserve it, God will come in a miraculous way on the clouds of glory, fast. It's
Got silver
Be'ito.
wings.
Yeah. Silver
Cloud. Yeah, that's
No.
cloud is the passage in Daniel.
clouds.
Is it?
Yeah,
I thought it
clouds.
could be misinterpreted as maybe being like a plane.
You're right. It could be
Yeah.
interpreted. I mean, to say what? No.
Yeah.
The story goes that when the Yemenite Jews came to Israel and we brought them on the plains, they felt like that the prophecy is being fulfilled.
There's eagle's wings, which
Eagle's wings.
could be plane, obviously.
But in essence, actually, today that we have planes, it's much easier to understand the prophecy. If it could be one plane, it could be another plane. It doesn't have to be necessarily on a cloud. Something that goes with the cloud, flies like the cloud, goes fast. Then there is two times when Moshiach can come, Be'ita and Achishena. Be'ita means in his time, when it's meant to be, or God can hasten the Moshiach, can bring it earlier than its time. And it's up to us. How many mitzvahs we do? You're right. Then if he comes on the donkey, it means he comes slow. You're right. If he comes on the clouds of God, of heavenly clouds, that he comes fast. Now it's up to us. As simple as that. Okay, then Hashem gives Moses now the order what to do with the Levites. Page 22, number 14. Supposed to read? Right.
Hashem spoke to Moshe in the Sinai desert, saying, "Count the sons of Levi, according to their fathers' houses, according to their families, all males, from the age of 1 month and above, you shall count them." Moshe counted them.
The legion of God is being counted from a month. The other tribes are counted from the age of 20. Right? They are counted from 1 month old. Very precious. What is the smallest tribe of the Jewish people?
Benjamin?
Close. Very
Benjamin's close.
Close. Let's see how many were the Benjaminites.
Zebulun?
How much were how much were the Benjaminites?
No, Benjamites were a pretty good number.
Let's see. No. He says something. He says something. I remember something. Yeah.
But here we go.
Reuven.
Page 13.
Where you see? Page 13? No, page 13 is the Benjaminites. Okay,
We
tell
should
me.
have a
What.
table here.
Well, it's got
All the
the
numbers.
different names here.
Where is
Issachar,
Benjamin, Bocher? That's what I'm
Yeah,
looking. I thought you found him.
right?
Reuven, Shimon, Gad. No, before that.
Yehuda is 186,400.
Hold on. Fine, yes, definitely fine. Menashe. Oh, Binyamin, 35,400. Not bad. But you're right, he probably was the smallest one. And who was the smallest?
The smallest.
Who was the small?
The smallest tribe of the Jewish people.
I thought you said it
Probably
was just
Menashe
Benjamin.
or Ephraim.
He said Benjamin is the closest to the smallest.
Menashe and Ephraim were pretty big.
Yeah,
Ephraim
they
was
were
certainly big.
The Levites,
22,000 something.
22,000. Then the question is, why the Levites were so small? What happened?
Well, 2 of them got killed.
Two.
It's 50%.
1 month old.
What happened? Why the Levites are is more small?
And then they didn't quite add up the numbers to the firstborn. It was short.
They were short, but why is the Levites a small tribe? Huh? What do you think?
You-
There is 2 explanations. One explanation is a negative, and one is a positive. Sound Jewish? A negative, I think Rashi says it. I don't remember Rashi says this Parshah or in the Gemara or somewhere. I remember Rashi saying it somewhere. The people who carry the ark, if they were not behaving the right way, they would die. That the numbers were smaller. That's one explanation. Then I heard from the Rebbe an explanation that Nachmanides brings. Amazing explanation. And it makes much more sense and it's much more
Which
evident.
one? Nachmanides?
Nachmanides. I heard it from the Rebbe today. I started seeing Nachmanides brings it. Then, why the Jewish people? When the Jewish people became multiplied? When they became big
In Egypt.
in Egypt? Why? Why God gave them the blessing to become big?
Jacob was there and the land was
No,
good. and-
no. Why they became big? Why God gave them the? Why they became? They multiply and became in the thousands.
It was a good life when they got there to Egypt before.
In America, it's a good life, and people get smaller and smaller, not bigger and bigger.
So that their numbers, if they came
Why the
smaller,
numbers became so
in case
big?
they became smaller.
You tell me why they became bigger.
They were
Why they
being,
became multiplied?
They were being oppressed and they became bigger.
That God said, as much as you're oppressed, as much as they torture you, that's how bigger you're going to become. Not good life makes a bigger, bad life makes more people. Actually, if you look in the countries where there is not good life, there is more people. That's, by the way, it's interesting to note.
Well, that's when the women had all those babies.
Where is more people? In
China.
India, in China, in the places that
a lot
the
of
lifestyle
poverty.
is
Yeah.
much lower, a lot of
Yeah.
poverty. That's interesting. Why is it like this? Because God said, כאשר יענו אותו, כן ירבה וכן יפרוץ. As much as the Egyptian tortured them and punished them and afflicted them, they became more and more. That was the reward that God gave them. No, why the Levites didn't become big?
They did pretty well in Egypt.
They weren't oppressed as much as the
They
other
weren't
Why?
in slavery.
Why they were not
And that was
slaves?
Moses and Aaron from that
Why
tribe.
they were not enslaved?
'Cause they
The
were
tribe of the Levites were not enslaved to
because they
begin
were
with.
like in the ministry, the priest.
They were the priests. So,
And the Egyptians recognized that. They
why the Egyptians recognized the priest as an important thing?
Because they had their own.
Everybody had their own priesthood. You know,
Why the Egyptian made the priesthood an important thing?
God told them to.
God told the Egyptian.
Why did they need to?
No. It stems from somewhere.
The word has to do with the word.
It comes from Judaism too. Everything goes back.
Big Bang. It's the Big Bang.
Shimon and Levi,
Before that.
Before Shimon and Levi?
I mean, not before the fight, but around this time. Why the Egyptian respected priests, the priesthood, the clergy, basically.
They were afraid of him?
No, we're not afraid of the clergy. We were not. Guys who throw babies into the river are afraid of nothing.
Because they needed them to keep the people in line.
How we know that the Levites will not walk? Because when Moses and Aaron came to Pharaoh, Pharaoh told them, why you don't let the people to walk? He doesn't say why you don't go to walk. Because they were not, the tribe of the Levites were exempt. But why would the tribe of the Levites, why suddenly Pharaoh became such a nice guy to allow the tribe of the Levites not walk? Because Joseph, when it was the famine, Joseph, everyone had to pay for the food, right? And eventually they sold themselves as slaves. Beside, which land he didn't take? The land of the priest he didn't touch. And he gave them a certain ration, a certain portion, everyone what he deserves. They got supported from the government. Joseph did not make the priest work for them for the food. That since then, it was established in Egypt that the priests don't work. And therefore, when it came to the Jewish people, that was already a normal thing to do, that the priests don't work. And now all the Jewish people became caught up in this working with the slavery in Egypt. Because in the beginning, Rashi says, Pharaoh started, they're volunteering. Volunteer, everyone wants to improve the country. All the Jews are busy with Tikkun Olam, right? Right? They were running, the first one running. Pharaoh said, oh, you're so good. Oh, guys, you're good, right? Continue to do it. But the Levites never volunteered. They had the work of God. That all came from them. Joseph respected the priest. Therefore, the priests were not, the Levites were not working in Egypt, because they were the leaders. Amram was the leader of the Jewish people in Egypt. Therefore, because they not work, they didn't get the blessing of being multiplied. Therefore, all the other tribes were so many, and the tribe of the Levites was small. It's all a chain that one brings to another. Why Joseph respected the priest? Suddenly, the Egyptian priest, he fell in love with them. And there is an interesting medrash. It's called Targum. You know, there is two types of translation in Aramaic to the Bible. There is Targum Onkelos, that we almost in every Chumash there is, and there is Targum. It's called Yonatan ben Uzziel. Targum the Jerusalem translation. And this other translation, Targum Yonatan ben Uzziel, or Jerusalem translation, there is more commentary. It's not just pure translation. Even this Targum, many times when Rashi wants to understand some text, he looks on the Targum, because the Targum, the great rabbis did that. It wasn't like children did it.
Which one came first, by the way? Onkelos or Yonatan?
I'm afraid Yonatan ben Uzziel, but I'm not sure. I cannot tell you for sure. I don't know. In any case, in that other translation, he says there the reason. Because Joseph was accused of trying to rape Potiphar's wife, right? Why Potiphar? Why was he not killed? You know, Potiphar was the chief executioner. If you try, Joseph was an Hebrew and a slave. He had nobody in Egypt to protect him. Not one human being who knew him. In much less things than this, his head would be cut off. I mean,
You liked him.
and he's the chief executioner. I mean, and he says, and his wife tells him he tried to do it. Then the Targum Yonatan ben Uzziel says, what she did, she took an egg, and she poured it on his cloth, and she said, you see what he wanted to do to me? It's right here, the semen. Then, but the chief executioner, Potiphar, was not sure if his wife says the truth or not. He wasn't sure. He went to the priest. They do with family problems. They told him, give it to us. He put fire next to it. It became egg.
Fried egg.
Fried egg. I told him, no, it's nothing. The priest were the one who saved Joseph from death. Then later, when it was a matter of life and death, Joseph saved them from death. Because Joseph saved them from death and respected them, therefore the Jewish people, priest, didn't suffer. It's all when you do a good thing, you do it for yourself, you understand? The priest saved Joseph. Eventually they did good for themselves. Joseph helped them. Eventually he did good for his own people, for the Levites. And that's what brought to the Levites, that the Levites were the smallest tribe. It's a full connection.
22,000 people, though, is an awful lot to move one structure.
Obviously, did a few more things. I mean,
Yeah.
they
were
were
teachers, right?
They were teachers. That's the main job. The main job does. It's written in the book of Deuteronomy when Moses blessed the 12 tribes. He says about the Levites, "Yoru mishpatecha leYaakov v'toratcha leYisrael." They will teach your laws to Jacob and your Torah to Israel. Basically, they will be the teachers. It's in the Haftorah. We say it in a few Haftorahs. There's Haftorah from maybe even Haftorah
Ezekiel.
from Kohanim Alevim Bnei Tzadok. He says they will just read it. The Haftorah of which Haftorah was it? Emor. The Haftorah of Emor. He says about the Kohanim and the Levites are the teachers of the Jewish people. The original plan was that the Kohanim and the Levites would be the teacher. What happened is that the Kohanim made it into a club, the elite group. We'll keep it only for ourselves, and that's where they lost it. Ezra was a Kohen, right? A Levi or Kohen? What was Ezra? I think Ezra was a Kohen, and he was the leader of the Jewish people in the beginning of the Second Temple. But later, the rabbis took over because the Kohanim didn't do their jobs. They didn't went out and teach the rest of the Jewish people, because that's the ultimate job. Amidu talmidim arbe, to teach, to establish as many students as you have, and then you have more children. But that's why. But the original plan was for the Levites to be the teachers of the Jewish people. Absolutely.
You got to admit, though, that the Levites do pretty well in the Torah, in the 5 books of Moses. It's not until much later that the Levites and the Cohen, basically in the Second Temple, all the corruption basically causes God to switch to the rabbis.
You're right, because there is a famous story about Shmaya and Naphtalian, I think it was. I think Shmaya and Naphtalian. They were 2 converts. And they were the leaders of the Jewish people. And by that, close to the end of the Second Temple, there is a story about them. The Kohen Gadol, the high priest, if he used to go out, if he came out alive from the Holy of Holies on Yom Kippur, by the end of Yom Kippur, the whole nation, the whole people who were in Jerusalem is to go after him with saying in this, like, go with him from the temple to his house. The Talmud tells a story once the high priest was going from the temple to the house after Yom Kippur. Suddenly, Shmaya and Naphtalian came from the other side. I think it was Shmaya and Naphtalian. And all the guys want to see the rabbis. They left the high priest by himself. The whole party was over in 1 second. Then obviously the high priest was not too happy about that. See what I'm saying? That when he comes, they came across each other. They say, "Oh, shalom to you, the children of converts." You understand? They tried to insult them. But they told them, "Shalom to us, that we are the children of converts, and we continue the tradition of your great-grandfather Aaron, who was a man of peace and loved peace. And woe is to you that you are the descendants of Aaron, and you don't continue his traditions." Then you see that the tension between the rabbis and the Kohanim were already there, because they were. And now it was another reason. The maaser, the tithe, where you give the tithe? The tithe you give. I have a farm. I want to give to the Kohen, to the Levite, right? I'm allowed to choose the Kohen and the Levite that I want. That's what I'm going to choose. And what happened is the Levites became helpers in the field, because they wanted to be the one, and it was an insult for the Levites. And God doesn't like it. You're not allowed to do it, because the Levite gets his reward from God. not from the people. So to speak, I give the tithe to Hashem, and Hashem gives it to the Levite. Then, but because realities are a little more complicated than if I can go to give it to anybody who I want to give to, the guy who smiles to me, who helps me. All of this brought down. Now there is another thing. In the second temple, Ezra, I think, gave the Levites he took away from them the right to get their tithe because they didn't make Aliyah to Israel. He was very disappointed they didn't come back. When they came back from Babylon to rebuild the second temple, the Levites didn't come back. Then all of this changed things a little bit. But the Levites were good people. We loved them. That's the story of the Levites.